Today, I'm going to do an overview of the pull-up bar on my ATX MPHR 780. Hey, this is Greg with Discovering Strength, the channel focused on all things garage gym. If you like what you see, consider subscribing below. So if you've been watching any of my recent videos, I've been doing a series on my ATX MPHR 780. You can check out those videos at the link above. But today I'm going to be focusing on the pull-up bar on the MPHR 780. So we're going to start with the basics first, and that is that, as you can see, it's not one continuous piece. It is broken up into two different pieces to accommodate for the cable pull points up there at the top. So that means that the bars themselves, those are 10.5 inches, and that in centimeters is about 27 centimeters. So that's kind of about the amount of real estate you have to grip onto. And that means that the gap in the middle there is about 19 inches wide, and in centimeters that's about 48 inches. And then as you can see that it sits up on top of the rack, and that means that that is about 88 inches off of the ground to get all the way to the top. And in centimeters, that's about 223 centimeters. Okay, so just in terms of height, you can see there, that you just have to take into account your ceiling height and how much clearance you're going to have. The pull-up bar is not taller than the cable assembly box that's there on the side. But it means that depending on the height of your ceiling, then you may not be able to get your head, up over the bar very high. As you can see, for me, I have the unfortunate spot of having this light right there. So I haven't had huge issues, but it just means that when I do pull-ups, I can't get my head, super above the bar, or I'm gonna hit either that light or the ceiling. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like when I do my pull-ups. So one thing I'll say is that with not having that middle piece, one of the things that prevents me from doing is being able to do anything like close grip chins. Doing just regular pull-ups and stuff, I really don't have any problem. So I suppose as a workaround of that, you could use your Smith machine bar to do that, but then you have to also be concerned about these middle uprights here. But for instance, if you were to do close grip from there, I guess honestly that works out all right. My head at least is able to fit in between the cross members at the top, so you can also just see that gap there at the top. That's where your head would have to fit in between if you were going to use the Smith machine bar to do that. And then a question I've got a few times now is, with the gap and the cable pull points, do those cables interfere with your head as you're doing pull-ups? And I think, as you could see, that no, they really don't. I think there's sufficient space in between these for your head to go up there. I think the more limiting factor is just your overall ceiling height. A closer look at the bar itself up here, you can see that it does have a really nice knurling on it. I do really like that. It's very grippy. And as I compare the knurling on this to others, so just looking here at other pieces that have knurling, you can see here on this one, this is a more aggressive knurl than up here on the pull-up bar. And even I would say actually for the Smith machine bar that that one's a little more passive than the pull-up bar knurling. So this knurl is about in between this little handle here, which is, I don't know, medium to a little more aggressive, and the moderate on the Smith machine. But regardless, it does have a nice feel to it, and it is very grippy when doing pull-ups. Another note just in terms of diameter of the bar itself, that this is kind of on the small side, I would say. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it is smaller than the diameter on the Smith machine bar. And as a point of comparison, I do have an old bar that went to my Titan T3 rack. This was my pull-up bar, and you can just kind of see those hopefully side by side. The ATX pull-up bar is smaller also. And then just to point out that, so this is the slightly larger one that I had for my Titan T3 rack, and that rack also came with like a fat grip bar. So, you know, you can just compare and contrast. This one's definitely much larger. This one's slightly larger than the pull-up bars up there at the top. That is the overview of the pull-up bar on my ATX MPHR 780. I would say that you have some sacrifices. Like I said, you have the gap in the middle that would prevent you from being able to do close grip chins, things like that. But all in all, I think that's a minor limitation compared to all the capability you get in the rack. I think the bigger thing to worry about is just how high above the bar is your head gonna go. You know, for anybody that's trying to do something like muscle ups, that's definitely not gonna happen on this. You'd need a lot more ceiling height to accommodate, to allow for that. And with the cable pull points in the middle, you're not gonna be able to do those. All right, so that does it for the video. Let me know if you got any questions or comments down below, and we'll see you next time.